Hello, everybody. Welcome to chapter 239 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. It is the weekly edition, and in this chapter, I'm going to attempt to answer a question that I posed in my last video. So, if you want to see how I'm going to deal with that, you know what you need to do. All you need to do is stay tuned. Well, yes, I posed a question in my last video, and I was hoping people would drop a response to it in the comments below. But it's always a little bit risky with me and having people put comments in on my channel because I'm just not that well known yet that I don't really get a lot of comments. There are a few people that comment, and they're basically two channels that comment on almost every video I make, and one of them is Trent's blog. He comments quite often. I really appreciate that, Trent. Thanks a lot. And the other one that uh, comments, I think, on every video is a channel that I've mentioned on my channel before, but a channel called The Profiled Corner. And I really like that channel because, and I don't mean to insult the operator of that channel by saying this. If it is, I'm not sure. Uh, but it kind of reminds me of what I do. Like, basically, I would guess we're two retired people that are just sharing what we do in our shops and hoping that maybe some people are interested in that. So, yeah, there's another cool channel that you should really start watching, the Profiled Corner. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to what I'm really here for today. And to answer that question that nobody answered, we're going to look at how how to make it so that when you have aging eyes like I have, that you can still maybe weld halfway decently. In other words, can you see the puddle when you weld? Well, I have to admit, a lot of times I really can't. Like I'm going by what I know what I should be doing, but that's not a good way to weld. You need to be reacting to changes in the puddle when you weld. And I can't see things well enough to do it. Unfortunately, no, this isn't my welding helmet. This is a student helmet. But often my welding helmet looks kind of in the same condition as this one, dusty and dirty and not taken care of. And that's one thing that's going to really affect the vision that you have. So, um, in today's video, we're going to look at how I can fix my helmet and maybe add some other little features that make this more a little easier to see what I'm welding, which should be great. Now, why am I doing this now? Well, tell you what, we've still got lots of snow on the ground here. But this week, the weather forecaster suggests that by the end of the week, we're going to be at 20 degrees Celsius, which is about 70 Fahrenheit. So I suspect the foot and a half of snow on my driveway, which, yes, I have, that weekend storm that I kind of showed you a little bit on my last video, that blew in a lot of snow, and it was 2 or 3 days that we had kind of semi-blizzard conditions, and we got a lot of snow on my driveway. But I'm not going to blow it off. We got the car off the yard yesterday, and I have to go out later today. But my truck is four-wheel drive, so we'll just drive through it. But by the end of the week, hopefully it's gone. But with spring coming, there's a couple of welding projects that I've been putting off because, as I've said to you numerous times, my shop isn't clean enough to be welding in here. For example, I still have my bowl in a chuck and the grinder's out and everything's out in here. And I guess I need to spend a day cleaning up, but that doesn't help a whole lot. So, anyway, I've got two major projects that need to happen. First of all, my lumber storage racks. I worked on this last fall right up until the snow flew. and I got quite a bit done out there, but my main lumber racks are not built yet. And I decided, actually, I had a failed attempt last year. I built them and they just didn't work out. So I have heavy duty steel and I'm going to weld them together. And we're going to have a good solid storage system after I'm done. I have all the metal for it already. I have the gas and I have the wire. I'm set to go. So that needs to be done. And also I have a trailer repair I need to make. My my trailer, when I built the end gate so it folds up like this, but there's a section that folds kind of out like that to make a ramp. And the hinges I used, I just finally welded on some standard door hinges, 4-inch hinges, and they don't work. So I'm going to grind all that stuff off and fabricate some things and put some good heavy duty pins in and make a good trailer gate. So that's another project that, and I'll probably bring you along on both of those. But, excuse me, but in order to do that amount of welding, I'd like to be able to see better than I did when I made my little hollowing tool bending jig. So if if you're interested, I've got a few ideas that I think might help you if you're in the same situation I am. So we'll see you in the next segment and we'll get started. Yeah, this helmet's a real mess. It's been hanging on one of my cylinders in the shop here, and then I've been woodworking and doing all manner of other things in here, and it accumulates dust. And this one I would clean before I had a student use it. So we're not going to use this helmet for today's demonstration. We're going to use mine. And I've already taken the liberty of kind of disassembling it to some degree. But first of all, before we go to the helmet, whenever you say you have trouble seeing the weld puddle, the first thing any welding supplier or worker at a welding supply store or on the internet, they'll recommend cheater lenses. Now, for if you're a woodworker and you're doing a little bit of welding, kind of like I do now, I had a big advantage. I had to take welding classes at our local technical college here to be able to teach welding. So I I was made aware of all the lingo and all that stuff. But if you're just attempting to do some welding to put two pieces of steel together that you need to have together, nobody's going to grade it, mark it, or anything. Basically, what you're looking for is to weld just good enough to get the job done that you need to do, and that's fair enough. I get that. But anyway, cheater lenses, they're a magnifier. So they sit, there's usually in your helmet where the cover plate sits, the inner cover plate, there'll be a place where you can clip one of these in, and it's just right in front of your eyes like this. It's not, you can't get these in a full size, say like whatever this is, 5 by 4, whatever it is, I forget. But so it's just a little plate that fastens to the inside of your helmet and basically takes your nice big widescreen helmet and makes it into a little one like this. So I don't really like these, and I don't think magnification is my problem. Hang on, there's another solution to that. Instead of using a magnifier or a cheater, reading glasses would work as well. So if you find what power of reading glasses work, and you can buy these really cheap if you want to, that kind of works as well. Now, when I got my last set of glasses, I got one pair of glasses that's designed to work well when you're working at your computer, and I gave those a try as well, and then there was a little bit of success. But I'm going to go back to these once I solve a few other problems to see if they work. To me, my issues right now are having enough light, not needing a bigger puddle. So, anyway, I could have the two confused there, but we're going to talk about the next thing on my list. After you've played with the cheaters and you've moved on from there, is you need to clean everything. Like, my experience with this is you're probably not going to make one change that's going to be the night and day difference that makes you be able to see your weld puddle perfectly. Chances are it's going to be a bunch of small things. For example, my helmet has also been sitting out in the shop here and it's kind of dirty. Now, I took the filter assembly apart here already because I am going to change the cover plates. But I'm going to spray it with this mix. This is something my wife makes for glasses cleaner. It's it's non-toxic. It's got a little bit of vinegar in it and a few other things that she uses. And I'm going to spray everything inside and out. And then I'm going to take my classic blue towel here and we're going to wipe everything off. Having everything clean makes a huge difference. I I forgot about this part. The problem with me is I could just quickly weld that. And I just drag the welder out, I plug it in, and I get going and I don't clean anything. And that's a problem. So I think what I'm going to try is I have from my motorcycle helmets, when I buy a new motorcycle helmet, they always come in a bag. I know I still have a couple of those bags around, so I'm going to grab one of those and I'm going to put my helmet in a bag when I'm done using it and it's clean. Because I think if I could keep the dust off of everything, that would really help. Now, yes, I'm in a wood shop and there is lots of dust in here, but if you work in a dedicated metal shop, there's still a lot of dust from grinding and all the industrial processes that you would use in a dedicated welding shop or a fab shop. So I'm just going to basically wipe this out. Long story short here, you want your helmet in the absolute best condition it can be in. That's what your goal is. You want to eliminate that variable. So I'm just cleaning here. Some of the stuff doesn't come off, but that's okay. If do the best you can. And this helmet I bought, of course, at my favorite retailer. But this helmet I've seen for sale in other stores as well, in tool stores, various places around. Oh, there's an O-ring in various places around the city. Um, so it's not that it's necessarily a Princess Auto brand. It's just this is a helmet that they sold for a while. And I haven't come to think of it. I haven't seen it there lately. So anyway, so I've got my helmet clean. Now the next thing to clean, where did I put them? Okay, we're going to have to maybe just take a little bit of a break here and I'm going to get some more supplies to move on to the next stage. But basically, things are clean now. Okay, the next thing I would do in the helmet is either clean the cover plates or replace them. And these aren't super expensive. I would not let these go very long before I replaced them. Now these I think I have let go really long because that number on the top tells me that that was the original one in the helmet. And I've had this helmet for a while. So it's time to change them. Now, again, heading down to my favorite retailer, I took these out of my helmet and took them along and managed to get exactly the right size, which is a little bit odd for me because, oh no, this has been replaced. Okay. Anyway, a little bit odd for me because often the stock they had for cover plates didn't keep up with the changes in the welding helmets that they offered. So, very often, especially when I was teaching, because those cover plates are always cheap there, I would simply buy some that I knew were a little bigger than what I needed and cut them to size. But I'm not going to do that here because I'm cheap and I'm not going to waste one. Okay, the one thing you really need to do is remember that there is a protective coating on here that you need to take off. Every once in a while in school when we were doing this, and this is one thing I showed students right away, very early on in the welding lessons that I was doing with them. If I had the time, we went through setting and cleaning your helmet because this is the single most important thing to keeping your vision good. Okay, so I always kind of forget about how this all fits, but I think I've got it figured out now. All right, now again, I was lucky they had the right size of inner one as well. So, and these cover plates are really important. They protect your welding filters in your helmet. And in the old days, a filter was just a piece of polycarbonate or whatever it was that you could get two different shades, or you could get two different types. You could get the green ones and the gold ones, and I sure preferred the gold ones. But the only problem I have with these things is I don't have fingernails to do this anymore. There we go. We got it. Okay, so then we're going to there we go. That's in. Inevitably, you get a little bit of dust on it. Okay, now we're going to click it in again and lock it. There we go. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay, there's one other thing I need to do yet while I'm in here, and that's I'm going to change batteries. These batteries have never been changed. They've been in here for a long time. And this is something that you should always stock. And I'm pretty sure I have some of these somewhere. These are pretty big. These are, what are they? CR 2450s. Yeah, and these are the originals. Okay, so yeah, to replace batteries in here, two batteries at my local Walmart cost me about 20 bucks for the package. So that's two of them. Hello, there's one. Oh my goodness gracious. My goodness. Okay, that's one in there. And where'd I put the other? Okay. All right. So the batteries are in. Okay. Okay, now all that remains is I took the headgear out so that I could show you this a little bit better. I didn't really do that at all. My apologies. The batteries are in here and everything is here. It says it's on shade number 9. I think we're going to change that a little bit. But now I'm going to put the headgear back in. And okay, well, we got the helmet all back together. And I'm just going to tighten things up a bit. And then we're just going to take a quick little break here. And we're going to go on to the next segment. Well, it was a little bit of a fiddly picky kind of job to get my helmet set up, but it's right now. I haven't done it for a long time, and I think it's the first time I've done it on this helmet. So uh, I tried to do some editing so you didn't have to suffer through all that. But anyway, the next step. Um, this step was something we were taught. Oh boy, when that would have been way back in like 1990, like in the Stone Age. When we got into our welding class, the first thing they taught us was to set the clutches on the side of the helmet so that when you put your helmet on and you had it up like that, you could grab everything, you could hold it in position and figure out where you're starting and then do that. Just a quick nod of the head and your helmet fell into place. Now, this was before auto shade helmets, so you absolutely, in my opinion, had to do that. But I also noticed when I was going through all the various safety regulations and occupational health and safety stuff to put together my class, my tool safety rules that I wrote and I've showed you before. And it said in there, I found one publication that said that this was no longer recommended because it was could be hard on your neck. Well, I don't know. That's the way I learned how to do it, and I still do it that way, and I like it. But it allows you to focus on what you're doing without having to, okay, take everything, pull your helmet down, and away you go. And now maybe with auto shade, you're not working with your helmet up as much. I'm not sure, but I still like to tip my helmet up when I'm doing other things. And in fact, I even moved my microphone for this because it would keep hitting it. But yeah, so make sure that, in my opinion, is make sure you can work without needing your hands because that can help as well. The other thing you'll notice that I did is I put on a skull cap. And I don't always do that when I weld, but you should because sparks fly everywhere and you don't want your hair on fire. So, or even just the sparks hitting, it distracts you. So, anything that distracts you is going to affect the quality of your weld. So, wear your gear and do things accordingly. Okay, we're getting to the point where we're soon going to be firing up my nice blue welder and we'll see if the changes I made have really affected anything. Well, we're getting closer to pulling the trigger here. I've got the welder set up, the gas is set, and the last thing I'm going to do is make my helmet settings. Now, I should have played with maybe the getting this all back together a little bit more off camera. Maybe I can shorten that a bit in the editing. But there are recommended shades, for example, different darknesses that your lens should be for different types of welding. So usually, though, uh, for stick or arc, as it's called, stick or arc, MIG, uh, I would always teach my kids at school. We would either run, we usually ran tens, so a number 10 shade. Now, when we did spray transfer with a MIG, we'd run up to a 12 because that is quite a bright process. But I realized early on, and even when I took my first welding classes, that if I put a number 10 filter in, I couldn't see enough to weld properly. So I've got my helmet set on a number 8 shade. Now, this is something that I don't recommend. So I'm going to do it, and I've done it for years with no detrimental effect to my eyes because I'm not welding 8 hours a day. In fact, even when I'd go to a number 8 shade, when I had my MIG class in Saskatoon, when I drive home from the city after welding for 5 hours, I'd see little pink blots all over the place. So that was a little hard on my eyes, but I did it because I wanted good grades. So no sacrifice too large for a good grade. But with a little bit of welding I do, I run a number 8. So that's what I'm going to try. I was actually on this helmet, I hadn't really adjusted it until today. I was running a 9. So maybe that affected my vision somewhat as well. So I'm going to run with the shade 8. But I would recommend, if you buy an auto shade helmet like this, to make sure you read over your user's manual and understand how to use everything properly. Like, you can set its reaction time as well. And I don't think I've played with that at all on this one. So we'll see what it's like, but it seems pretty good. So I'm just going to go with it. But there's really no sense in me showing you that because your helmet might be quite different. Anyway, let's move on a bit. So the helmet's ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm going to wear my regular glasses. There's one thing I'm going to try today that I haven't done before, and that's adding extra light. So when I start tacking this little coupon together here, I'm going to turn that light on. When I turn both of them on, it was kind of funny. I turned both of them on, put my helmet on, and it was dark. I thought, wow, jeepers, what did I do wrong when I put the batteries in or something? And here, it's just, there's so much light that the helmet thinks it's too bright for my eyes, so it's shading. So I'm going to try to go with one and see how that works. So um, I'm going to get you back here when I'm ready, and we're going to try that. Now, realistically, if I'm welding, say, a larger project like my trailer, which will have to be outside, I'm hoping the natural light will fill in better and I'll be able to see what I'm doing, because this is unrealistic for most welding applications. Although I did, in the research I did, there were some people that put lights on top of their helmet, like a little, those lights, those headlights you can get that mount on your forehead. They were putting those on. So who knows? Maybe this is something that would work. But anyway, we'll be back when I'm ready to run some bead. Okay, well, I've got a coupon tack together, my protective tin on the table, my light source plugged in. I don't know if my welder's set perfectly for this. I don't have much of this, so I didn't want to waste stuff setting it up. So I kind of guesstimated, not a good thing to do, but we're going to see how this works. So, okay. And here we go. Okay. Well, that's certainly not the prettiest weld. I felt I could see a little bit better, but we're going to make one adjustment here and see if it's better. There, I'm going to try that. I'll tell you what I did if it made any difference. Well, I filled up my crater. It was a little bit better, but still not as good as I would like. Okay, let's try this again. Well, I can see better. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm making the shade lighter. I don't, this isn't good for your eyes necessarily, but I'm just going to test. Okay, let's go again. Okay, well, I'm going to put the camera in a different position and we're going to finish this off. Well, my little experiment didn't go quite as good as I had hoped. Um, I found that the fill light, boy, I don't know. I don't know if that really helped at all. Maybe I need to try one of those headlamp type of things, see if that works. But I don't know if that's the answer. There is one thing though that did work, and that's just turning the shade down. But when I would have been, oh, how old would I have been? Maybe about 40 when I took my MIG class. And I welded with a number 8 the whole time. And like I said earlier, I had little pink dots in front of my eyes all the way home. But that was after 5 hours of welding. So please don't do what I'm going to tell you because it's not right. I just wanted to find out where the right shade for me was with my eyes right now. The last the last little piece of welding I did was on shade 6. Now, we used to use 5s for oxyacetylene, but I was at shade number 6. And even with that little bit of welding, I can kind of feel it in my eyes a little bit. So that is too low. But I wanted to see where it needed to be for me to see. So obviously I need to come up with some other solution to this yet. But there is a lot to be said for the basics, like keeping your helmet clean and your batteries fresh and the cover plates proper, and all that stuff makes a big difference. I noticed that even the first time I welded on number 8 shade, I noticed that. But I still have some more work to do on this. I have a feeling it's going to be better when I get outside, and then I won't set off the smoke detector in here, which is always interesting. But anyway, so yeah, I learned a lot today again, and I'm hoping through my learning that maybe you learned something as well. But I have a little bit of work to do on this yet. Maybe I'll just have to realize that my time as a welder is drawing to a close. I don't know. I still like to weld things together, and it's so handy for a lot of the stuff I do. And now that I know that I can weld better with a 6, I'll probably do it every once in a while. But like I say, I'm not recommending that you do it. This was just a trial for me to understand what I needed. So now that I know what I need, now I have to figure out ways to get to that point without using the number 6 shade. Anyway, I hope you learned something today. I sure did. And that's one of the reasons I shoot these videos. And this was as it happened. So I maybe will take a couple of chunks out because there were some awkward places where I dropped pieces on the floor and stuff like that. But this is in real time for the first time. I didn't rehearse any of this. You saw it as I did it. So I don't know. I think that's the level of honesty that I would have liked when I look for stuff like this. So anyway, with that in mind, welding and wood turning, yeah, they go together. It's a natural. But anyway, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the weekend edition.